Nintendo brought the games during the Switch 2 Direct. They really did. It wasn't as many first-party reveals as I think a lot of us were expecting. However, as I talked about in my discussion video, it was absolutely enough, and I'm just out of my mind excited for multiple of them, and that was great. So like that was good enough, you know? Good Nintendo presentation with big announcements like that. That's good enough, and yet still, the third parties, they brought it. They brought their A game, you know? And it shouldn't be a surprise at all, you know? Going into the Switch generation, a lot of the industry, oh, we're not so sure if this is going to work out. So, like, it took a while for a lot of companies to kind of warm up. There was good third party. You know, we had, you know, Skyrim, that kind of thing. But now, like, it is clear, like, Nintendo's been working with people to make sure that a lot of games are coming to Switch 2 pretty early on. Loads of them at launch. Lots of them, which is really funny because, like, every single thing in the direct, they all had to say, on the same day as the Switch 2. They couldn't, like, say the date, just so that at the end, near the end of the Direct, they could reveal the date. Like, you could have just revealed the date at the beginning, and you wouldn't have to, like, tiptoe around it. Whatever. It's also really funny how many games from the Switch 1 Direct are just here as well, you know? There was that Switch 1 Direct with all these new games coming to Switch 1, and, like, I feel like a pretty darn good amount of, I don't know if I could say the majority, but it kind of feels that way. It kind of feels like almost all of the games from that Direct are also coming to Switch 2. Yeah, which is also a little funny. And so yeah, just a lot of games. I'm not going to go over all of them. I'm going to go over some highlights. But even saying that, it's quite a lot of highlights. Quite a lot I want to point out. I've said it now in multiple of these videos, but yeah, Elden Ring being the first thing they showed. Too funny. I'm still laughing about it. I need to, like, my reaction, I guess, is on the live reaction commentary video, but it was just too funny. It was amazing. So we're getting Elden Ring. It is not a launch game. That is a bit of a bummer. It says 2025, so it won't be too long. Would have been really cool at launch. But it is Elden Ring Tarnished Edition. I can only assume that means it comes with the DLC, but at the same time, the DLC came out not too long ago, and it's really expensive standalone. So are they going to sell it for, like, you know, not too much money for the bundle? At the same time, though, Switch 2 games are expensive. Maybe they'll just sell it for $80. I don't know. Mario Kart's $80. So maybe that will justify the price with the DLC. I don't really know, but whatever. It's coming to Switch 2. We're going to play Elden Ring on a Nintendo system, and that's amazing. I have it on my Steam Deck. If it runs okay. It's playable on the Steam Deck. It's still fun, but there's a lot of slowdown. So if it runs better on Switch 2, then I am there. Also just like the idea of a lot of people who primarily play on Nintendo to, you know, I don't know, have a chance to play Elden Ring. It's a good game. Have you heard? I don't know if I've said it before, but really like Elden Ring. So then Capcom came on, and it's really funny because, you know, Capcom, they've got like a handful of like their flagship series, you know, their biggest stuff. It's like Monster Hunter, Resident Evil, and Street Fighter. And I'm like, Resident Evil or Monster Hunter? Resident Evil, Monster Hunter, Street Fighter! Oh, man! I was really hoping Monster Hunter Wilds would be a launch title, but yeah, now that the game launched and has had some pretty bad performance issues, I don't know if we'll ever get it on Switch 2. I hope they can figure it out. It would be so incredibly perfect for Switch 2. Whatever the case, though, Street Fighter 6 is still really great. It's a launch game. There is already a precedent for Street Fighter games being available at launch, right? Wasn't there one on the original Switch? That's great. I hear it's a great game. They announced some amiibo, which was surprising because it was like the only mention of amiibo in the whole presentation. I hear that there are. I was talking about that with Kane, and he says that Sparky was telling him that there were some Zelda amiibo announced. I don't really know. I haven't had a chance to look yet. I've been looking at this screen all day, and there's still information coming in. Point is, though, Street Fighter 3 amiibo. That's pretty cool. I don't know. And then there's even some silly little, like, motion-controlled single Joy-Con mode. Or they always got to do something like that. It's totally silly, but I'm convinced they just think that it's fun. So So yeah, still plenty of time for other Capcom games to come to the system. And Street Fighter 6 is plenty cool. Oh, and then Kunitsu Gami Path of the Goddess. That's another game. I don't know when it's coming out on the other systems, but Capcom had revealed that some time ago. So it looks like that's going to be a launch game too. That's pretty cool. Oh, that came out last year. Oh, okay, so it's already out. I didn't know that. Whatever, it's cool. It's another launch game. Demon X Machina, Titanic Scion. I forgot that this was getting a sequel, and I'm watching the trailer, and I'm like, there's a lot of mech games. Oh, is this a Gundam or something? Really took me off guard. I forgot this was happening because I thought the first one flopped. Pretty. It sounded like it didn't do very well, but it's cool that it's getting a second one. It does look cool. It's not a Switch 2 exclusive. It's not like a Nintendo thing anymore. It's also coming to PC. But I don't know. Looks cool. Then there's Hogwarts Legacy. I only mention it because, well, it's a launch title, so it's another launch title. A lot of launch titles. But I really only mention it here because they talk about using mouse controls, and it's just like, and it's like the first clip is like, oh, look, you're riding your broom using mouse controls, and it's this whimsical music, and then it shows like somebody just using like whatever spell to just smash somebody repeatedly, brutally, just smashing them into the ground, I guess with mouse controls. And I thought that was funny. Then we had Bravely Default HD Remastered. That's another launch game. So that's fun. That's a brand new reveal, right? I hadn't heard of it until now. That's really cool. Boy, beating a dead horse. Square Enix. Don't call it HD remaster. This is next gen. These games are not just HD. HD is not the flex anymore. You can't, whatever. It's never gonna change. Then we had Yakuza 0 Director's Cut. As always, I have not played a Yakuza game yet, but they are really growing in popularity, and so it is very cool that this one is coming to Switch too. The more, the merrier. And so now it's funny because going into the Switch 1 Direct, I thought, all right, if any like big indie, okay, Silksong and Deltarune, those are the ones that like people have been waiting for updates on. And they didn't show up in the Switch 1 Direct, and I would have bet money. That meant that why would we see them at the Switch 2 Direct but not the Switch 1 Direct? They're big indie games for sure. They're really, really important, but just, I don't know. There's just so many things to announce. There's so many games, and yet, like, there you go. I was dead wrong. Deltarune chapters 3 and 4 on launch day. And this is multiplat. It is releasing for other systems that day too. It's not like an exclusive or anything, but saving it for the launch of the Switch 2 so that it can be available on launch day. That's cool. That's just really good. And they even had a special little like reveal in the presentation. I think that's great. I think it's really awesome that Nintendo gave multiple indies space to talk about their games during the Switch 2 presentation, the precious hour that they had, rather than relegating them to, indie presentation or whatever. I think that's really neat. It was really cool to see. They talked about Enter the Gungeon 2. I don't really know anything about this game, and I did not play the original. I had no idea that the second one looked like this, that it's like 3D, and I don't know if it's my cup of tea, but I would say it is notable because, it's next-gen Nintendo system. And this was one of the only games that really showed off just like a lot of particle effects, like just a lot of objects on screen at once. And it looked really good. I just say, like, visually, it was one of the coolest things to look at. I don't know. My interest is kind of growing. It's Cyberpunk 2077 Ultimate Edition. I will always grumble about this game and the circumstances of its launch and the trustworthiness of CD Projekt Red and all of that stuff. But, Ultimate Edition of that game, that is a pretty big deal. That is a large game, presumably with all the DLC and stuff. That's a pretty big deal coming to Switch. How's it gonna run? The original version didn't run very well. the last gen versions didn't run really well. So if anything, that's another reason to bring it up here. Is it really gonna run okay on a Switch 2 if the last gen versions were so bad they had to delist them? I am skeptical, but we'll see. Then Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade. That's been rumored since the beginning. I think since the very first rumblings of Switch 2 and like third-party ports. I want to say Final Fantasy VII Remake was like first on the scene. So and from the second I heard it, I was like, oh yeah, absolutely. You know, like of course, like Nintendo and Square, they have a really good relationship, and so that's, I mean, there's another great example of just a really humongous game, just a really big and really beautiful, just epic adventure, just to play right there on your Switch 2. So that's cool. And then we had a sizzle reel, and Silksong showed up. I mean, it did technically show up. That's the amazing thing. It technically showed up, but perhaps in the most perfect and fitting way possible. It wasn't a big Deltarune kind of reveal. It was another sizzle reel. It was just literally seconds long. It was a couple clips, and they gave us just 2025. Still, even after all this, after all these rumblings, all these rumors, all this cake stuff, it's still just, I don't know, 2025. Not launch day, that's for sure. Just sometime this year. And I mean, I am laughing, but at the same time, I kind of feel like if I were bigger on the whole thing, if I were more dialed into there, I feel like I haven't like talked to anybody. I don't know like what the general consensus is in the community, but I'd be upset. I think I'd be a little upset. I don't like to use the word insulting, because like, I don't know, like, what is insulting? What does that mean? Like, but at the same time, people have been waiting so long, and the recent rumors and rumblings were so strong, it really felt like this might be it. So, like, just to have just this with just like a non-committal, like, it doesn't mean anything. You could take this as, oh, well, it's good that they showed up. It's good that it's here at all. It's good that they confirmed it's coming this year. That means that it's coming this year, at least, right? Okay, well, they've given us a year, several years in a row. This means nothing. I have no doubt that it could come this year, because as I always say, it's gotta come eventually. So yeah, it could. It very well could. It could be that they are 100% sure it's coming this year. But if all you're gonna say is 2025, like, I'm not gonna believe you. I'm not gonna take that at face value. Because if that's it, okay, well, yeah, like, we've been through this before. We need more than that. Why'd you even show up if you weren't gonna really show up? But I don't know. Maybe there's more info. I don't know. Maybe there's some other reveal going on that will happen separately from this. Maybe this is all just part of the joke. I really don't know. Ubisoft showed up with Star Wars Outlaws. I don't know. Maybe a little surprised that was like what they showed up with. Kind of expected an Assassin's Creed or something, or some, I don't know. Did Star Wars Outlaws, did that even do very well? I feel like it wasn't very well received. I don't know how it sold. Yeah, like Assassin's Creed Shadows or something, like the newest one. I kind of expected something like that, or maybe Valhalla, the last one. I don't know. Ubisoft, they usually do show up for Nintendo systems, and they did show up here with at least one thing. But the fact that it's Star Wars Outlaws is a little surprising. I kind of thought that game didn't really, I don't know, didn't really make a splash. But I'm really not sure. Fast Fusion, a launch title. So another Fast game, you know. Fast had a launch title. They also were there day one for the original Switch, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think so. And they are very, very talented developers. Still a bummer that Nintendo hasn't just had them make an F-Zero, because, like, they're awesome. But it's cool that we're getting a new one on Switch too, because, gosh, I mean, they know how to make a real graphical showcase. I don't know what it is. They got that juice. They know how to make a really pretty looking game that runs really well on a Nintendo system. They've got a history of that now, so it is really fun to see that there's another one at launch. It's basically like a little tradition now. Then this is a real little thing for Reanimal. That's cool that that's coming to Switch. Absolutely. On the one hand, it would be, you know, anything really graphical like that, I'd probably want to get on like my PS5 or something. But at the same time, it's a co-op game, and I'm sure you can do like split Joy-Con. So that's cool. Really looks awesome. I'm just such a big fan of this kind of game and this style. Then you had your Fortnite. I'm not a Fortnite guy, but I know Fortnite is a very big deal. So it's there at launch. You know, even the original Switch, it took a bit, but not this time. They're like, Switch? No, Switch 2? Day one Fortnite, of course. And then I already went on and on and on about it in the video, specifically on the game, so I won't here, but yeah, just really unreal that they opened with Elden Ring and then ended with like the one genuine exclusive piece of software, like from a third party, like exclusively. We are not Nintendo at all, and yet we are making a game just for this system, and it's FromSoft. I still can't believe it. But yeah, I did a whole video on that. I'm a little bit worried. It looked really cool, but then I'm a little worried it might end up being just like a purely competitive multiplayer game. We're not really sure yet. I am just going to add two things that I regretted not saying in the original video. One, I have some slightly more hope for it having like just kind of a single player mode and not only being multiplayer. I'm not like, I'm not getting my hopes up, but if there is anything giving me some hope, it's that this trailer shows a lot of really cool, weird cutscene stuff. And like, why would you have all this story and all of these like careful and slow cutscenes if you weren't expected to be like playing it as a single player? Because like, look at Night Rain, Elden Ring Night Rain. That's pretty much just a multiplayer game. And how did they advertise that? It was really just showing the environment. It didn't really just like show a bunch of cutscenes. The reveal trailer did have a very different kind of feel that was more suited to a multiplayer thing. Whereas like, yeah, the reveal really just made it seem like a brand new FromSoft game, just like a regular traditional FromSoft game. Does that mean there is hope? That you will at least also be able to play single player if you want? I don't know. We will see. And then the second thing I wanted to add was, even if it is purely multiplayer, Switch 2 has like game chat, the whole like all the social stuff and the screen sharing and the face sharing and whatnot. And I gotta admit, I don't want it to be a big like multiplayer game, but that's gonna make it a lot more fun, isn't it? I do think that does give it some potential, I must say. So yeah. Third parties. It's a lot of good stuff, and like, sure, a lot of this is it's older games, but like that's to be expected here at the beginning. And also like the very idea of exclusive third party games, it still happens, but it seems less and less necessary all the time. Like if you are another company, like why wouldn't you just want to release something on every platform? If it's going to be exclusive, make it timed or something. So yeah, I can't fault these companies for making games only for not wanting to make games only for Switch 2, for largely relying on previously released games. I am a little bummed not to see Doom Dark Ages. I really thought that would be here. I really thought they would have done that. I mean, come on, you brought Doom and Doom Eternal to Switch 1. This would have been perfect for now. But oh well. Also, the Oblivion remake. There was a rumor that it was going to get like revealed today. I mean, for all I know, it did. I really have not been on the socials. I've been really focusing on this, but that would have been really cool if Phil Spencer came on and revealed that. Or like Master Chief Collection. Okay, so there were a few things that I was a little bummed not to see. However, it's a really, really great early showing. Just a lot of games to play within the first year. More, I'm sure, will be released constantly. I'm sure there will be many partner directs and regular directs and whatnot. You can see the confidence here. You can see how eager a lot of companies are to put at least something, you know, even if there are some, you know, cases like Ubisoft just doing Star Wars Outlaws, just like little bits here and there. It's still just like a really good spread, you know, and you can tell that there were a lot of companies that they really just wanted to make sure there was something on Switch 2 in the first year. So many of these games are launch titles. And yeah, again, like to me that speaks of confidence. They want to be there day one. They want people to have these big experiences to play day one on their Switch 2s. And yeah, future of third parties on Switch 2 is looking pretty great.